set up,
Go ahead.
you have it set up now that when you send, like when you post the meeting, it's sent to everybody, right?
Supposedly, yes.
Because I mean, I got it, but I just got an email, I don't know how long ago, but not long ago. Phil Parker was asking if there was a meeting tonight.
Okay.
I sent him but and then I sent that electrical project stuff to everyone.
Yeah. Hey, Anna.
Hi.
Hi, Anna.
Hi. I did have a question on schedule when you guys are ready, when you're done with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll see how Phil's connected. He changed his email address. He got a public one, so maybe it didn't get connected.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Catherine Hilton's going to join us. Okay, Anna. There's Jeff. Hey, Jeff. And we lost Anna.
If there's three of us, is that a quorum?
And now
Yeah.
we've got Anna and Phil, I guess isn't on. I thought Phil had connected himself to the meeting minutes. I'll have to look into that. I mean, the invite automatically. Wait till Anna comes on. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 5:32. It's Frank McGinn is on, Anna Cook, Jeff Quackenbush, Stephen Dalmas, and a guest, Catherine Hilton. And I apologize, I did not do the minutes this weekend. I went to a wedding in New Jersey instead. And I'll get them next meeting. And Anna's having a hard time, so give her a minute to come back on.
Hey, Frank,
Yep.
can you give Phil a call and tell him what he needs to do? He's asking if someone's sending a link. So he obviously
Okay.
doesn't.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on a second. Okay. Do you have his phone number? I have it from a past meeting and I didn't put it in my contacts.
Hang on. You ready?
One second. Okay.
603
Yep.
259 6086.
Okay. Hey, Phil, it's Frank. Hey, if you go onto the Shutesbury Town website and click on calendars, you know where that is? Yeah, I've got, you changed the email address. I gotta figure out what happened with your last one, so I'll have to look into that. Yeah, everything was. Calendars. Big meetings, calendars. Put down buildings committee. Okay, see a few. Okay. iPad, there we go. Just give Phil another minute. I don't know if that's Phil iPad or if that's Anna. Anna seems to, that's Phil, okay. Anna keeps on getting bumped off, don't know why.
Yep.
Okay, because she had a question about
Schedule.
scheduling, yeah. Give her a second to come back in and then we'll go forward. Okay, I will have the meeting of the last minutes for 4/2 next meeting. Perhaps we can talk with Catherine Hilton. Catherine was on the old Elliott Park committee, and she'd like to have the old changing room restored. Oh, they can't hear you, Catherine.
Muted, Catherine.
Yeah. Nope. Nope. I don't hear you yet. Says you're unmuted too. Your speaker.
About volume.
Hmm. Hey, Anna.
Hi, sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but it kept,
Several times get bouncing off and on. You're at work, I see.
it was just cutting out kind of seemingly for no reason.
Okay. I'm not going to have the meeting minutes today, so I'll have next time. And I went to a wedding, and we're trying to talk to Catherine Hilton, who was on the Elliott Park committee when they did Elliott Park at the end of the Randall boat. And
I'm still here. I don't know
okay,
what's going on with my camera.
okay, good.
Honestly, I'm on
Okay,
a tablet. I don't even know what to check at this point.
okay, we can still hear you. That's
I
good.
get great.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Sorry.
No, not a problem. How's your Catherine? How's your? It says you're not muted. Anna, do you want to, while she's figuring that out, you have a dates you'd like to propose for the next meeting?
Oh, I had a question because with the meeting today, we were on like the other Wednesdays for the cycle, so I'm assuming we're not meeting next week, but then are we still on a 2 week starting from today, or are we on
A 30-day, I thought,
on a
after
30
this.
day? Okay.
Okay.
And so does it want to be like the third or fourth Wednesday of the month, or do we?
Yep, we can do that, whatever works for you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of neutral on it. I was just honestly trying to put it in my calendar and populate it out so that
Yes,
I don't have to ever ask again.
okay. Yeah, we do the fourth Monday, the third, the 21st would be a month from
Sure.
now.
Yeah, so third Monday of the month, third Wednesday of the month. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. That sounds good.
21. Then I can populate it out on the thing. Is everyone familiar with the little shed at the Elliott Park?
No,
No.
Okay,
No.
it's a small shed. You wouldn't notice it. It's got moss all over it. If you go down the boat ramp, it's to the right, to where the gazebo is. It's behind the gazebo.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what
Yep.
you're talking about
I
now.
know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It used to be, when they started the park, it used to be a changing room, boys and girls.
what is it?
It's a storage unit. They had one point kept the kayaks in there, but because of the deterioration of the doors, it was broken into quite easily. And Catherine would like to have it upgraded, maybe because Marianne, I don't know where Marianne's been storing the kayaks.
I think somebody's barn.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in the future they could store something down there if it was more secure. But the building is rotted out, and Catherine would like to have the buildings committee come up with a plan and some figures, and then she would apply for a grant through the CPC. I believe that's correct.
In a plan to turn it back into storage or turn it into changing.
I think storage. Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm not good with sign language, but yeah, I think no, do go back into storage to make it a secure building, dress it up. Otherwise, it's eventually going to fall down. And I think in the future, if they had a good secure building, we could store the kayaks back there again. So that's what it comes down to.
in a building the same size.
Yeah, just restore that building or do something with that. Yeah, I don't know what the inside looks at. Catherine might have keys to that, so we can look on the inside in the future. But
Okay.
It's
Because
a,
I'm wondering, depending on how bad it is,
right.
wise,
Mhm.
maybe we need to just buy one of those pre-made buildings.
Okay. No.
Yeah, it's pretty bad looking from the outside.
it's a board and batten structure,
Uh-huh.
just quite rotted, and there's a heavy accumulation of debris on I think it's a metal corrugated
Roof.
roof. I have no idea what the roof condition is. Have to look, from the inside to see if it looks like it's leaking. And I think the key thing would be seeing what the internal structural components look like.
Right.
If they're reasonable, we could get rough sawn lumber and rip off the existing siding and re-side it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or T111. So
Yeah.
okay.
So that's right. So
And
we'll meet sometime in the future, Catherine, and we'll contact you. You still have a key to it? Okay. And we'll meet in the future and look at it, take pictures, and come up with a game plan and a budget so that you can apply for some funds. Does that sound like a plan? Okay. So I'll figure that out, and I'll ask a couple people to meet me out there. I know someone will be on a train for the next 3 weeks or so. So, and the weather is nice. So
Oh, I heard he canceled that trip.
Yeah. I saw his wife this morning. I think she's going no matter what.
I heard he was going to stay here and finish the electrical specs instead.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
guess I got the wrong information. All right.
Okay. But I'll be in contact, Catherine, with you in the next couple of weeks, and we'll take a look at it. I'll take a bunch of pictures, and then the committee will do its power thinking, and we'll come up with something so you can apply for a grant. Okay? Thank you for visiting. Okay. So I can share my screen of that one, share, allow. Can you all see that? Yeah, you must be able to see that.
Yes.
The electrical one, right?
No,
Oh,
in the online calendars, Town of Shutesbury online calendar.
Okay, I've got the wrong one. So tough. It's so small when you. I'll just do it this way. Drag it back here, and there, that works. So I'll send this out to you. I got it today.
I sent it to,
Yeah, Stephen said it to everyone. Just some stuff to go over. The next phase with the electrical safety upgrades. And Stephen, do you want to tell the conversation you had with me? You want to share that with the group?
sure. So I a week or so ago, I went online to the electrical company whose information is on the electrical panels down in the basement of Town Hall. And they have say a page there where you can put in information and ask questions. So I did that, and I basically first asked if they'd be interested project for Town of Shutesbury, and if so, could somebody meet with us? I never heard back. So then I decided to call the electrician who we've used in our house since the house was built, Grace Electric, and he's came well recommended, and I was very happy with his work. So I gave him a call, and he's going to meet me tomorrow afternoon at Town Hall at 4 o'clock, and to go over items on the list. And so, I'll get feedback from him. I just put together this first part last night, doing kind of cut and pasting and altering of what Anna had sent me. And I'd be interested to see what everybody thinks of that. And if something should be taken out, what should be added. And then the one thing in talking with the electrician, Ryan, on the phone, it occurred to me that the fuse panels that we want to replace, fuse panels, one in Town Hall, one in Old Town Hall, and the Pushmatic panel box in the meeting room at Town Hall, they probably have a 3-wire feed, and newer panel boxes need to have a 4-wire feed. Where is that, Frank?
Oh, I'm going to show you this. I didn't mean to bring it up on that screen. That is in. Go ahead. You finish what you're saying. I'll bring that up in a minute. I wanted to make sure I brought that up. I don't know what type of panel that is.
So it's going to probably have to run a feed from the basement storage room to each of those. And my thoughts are that doing surface mounted conduit is going to be the easiest way. I mean, trying to, and if you wanted to fish that, you'd have to be doing quite a bit of damage to walls and ceilings.
What building is this?
This is Town Hall.
Okay.
but that's something, and I asked him about the 4-wire feed, and he agreed. So, we'll double check that, and then I'll have a discussion with him about that. And, what you had brought up, Jeff, when you and I were there about how he could install the new panel boxes.
Hmm.
Um, I was wondering if the code allows him to essentially put it, we'll say, over top of the existing one, and then the existing one becomes a junction box. But you're only supposed to have, because all these wires terminate at the current fuse box or panel box.
Hmm.
They would need extensions unless you can put the panel box into that same space.
Right.
Right. That's gonna.
So, I'll talk to him about all of that. And
Do you want some help tomorrow?
if you want to come, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll come 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock at town hall. And after town hall, we'll go to the fire department. Um, Len's going to be there. I called and left a message for Dave Grenier at the highway department. Um, and I haven't heard back from him because I was hoping to get in there, but there's not a whole lot in there. It's mainly installing ground fault devices. And
So you want to just wait till we meet tomorrow to review comments, or do you want to do them now? Because a lot of my comments are going to be, we better talk to an electrician and have him review these comments.
That was, and that was mine too.
Figure out what other information do they need so that they can actually give us a price.
okay, well, that's fine with me.
So how about
I
if we
might,
do it then? Go ahead.
I might show up at 4 tomorrow, and we can print this up at town hall too. I talked to Leslie Bracebridge. She unlocked the historical conservation room, whatever that room is.
Great.
And it's a simple, flip on the other side, flip the lock back on, shut the door, and it's locked.
That's what I thought it was. Great.
So that's going to be done. Dave's been on Wendell Road grading all day today. I got stuck twice, going 2 different directions. It was just like they had the 2 guys digging out ditches one side, him grading on the other, and then I waited. I was out with the dog, and I came back from the errand, and he was still doing it. So it's very interesting. So if I see him tomorrow, I'll ask him. I don't know what time his day ends. And Steve, I think that's Steve Sullivan once said one of the back doors is usually open or something like that. So I will ask him about that tomorrow if I see him, because I think they'll be on our street all day tomorrow.
2 days ago, stopped at the highway department. It was late in the day, and I checked that back door, wasn't unlocked.
Okay,
I had,
I will.
oh, sorry.
Good, Anna.
Since I won't be there tomorrow, I had a few comments on this scope that was sent over.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'd like to add maybe in the section where permits are listed that we want the electrician to cover meeting the inspector. Because that very well would be a separate trip. I mean, not that one of us couldn't do that too if we want to volunteer, but it's just something that'll need to happen.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, the
On the-
electrician should be there for a final inspection, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
that's normally how I would do it, other than since we're just trying to save money for the town, if one of us can cover it and save them an hour, fine. But yeah, I would generally agree. And then in the section on products about US made, while I think that's really good, I also wonder if we want some like opt-out language of like wherever possible so that we're not sending somebody down a rabbit hole of where the plastic boxes are made or shipped from or whatever.
Yeah, I was wondering why you put that in there.
Well, I was just cutting and pasting from what Anna had sent me months ago. And so I just put that whole thing in there.
Oh, okay.
And that could easily, I wondered about that. So where is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice starting point, but not not something we want to change somebody's bid over, like reasonably, like supplied reasonably locally, etc. So I mean, I like the sentiment, but I I don't know. I wouldn't want it to be a hard and fast rule.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would make the language in here gender neutral. It says his everywhere, and I would
Yeah.
normally just say that as there.
Yeah,
But
I
I
was
would,
wondering about that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'll usually just keyword search he and then just swap it out instead of having to read it. Um, and then the last thing was timing, and we talked about this before about coordinating with with the buildings, and I see that there's the clause in here about especially the police chief. And I guess if I was competitively bidding this, I'd want to know a little more about that so that if I needed to like account for off hours or overtime, then I could,
Mhm.
or if and I mean, I don't think we need this for tomorrow, but just to make the bids apples to apples, like, can we say that this will be done within the working hours between, 7 and 5 or, or something like that where we can exclude overtime or if on the flip side, if we actually think that these need to be done on off hours to accommodate like town hall offices and whatnot, we should say that more explicitly.
I also think related to that, the electrician should be giving the town notice well in advance that
Hmm.
they need to turn off circuits.
Yeah, so maybe it's that way that if power is off for longer than X period of time, we need X days of advance notice or something like
Exactly.
that.
Like
Yeah.
usually you have like 72 hours in advance.
Hmm.
Right.
Excuse me, Anna,
Yeah.
would you be willing to author the comment that would be in there regarding letting, coordinating with the building and the police department and everything else, uh,
Hmm.
as you
Sure.
see it, just because I couldn't get all of that.
Oh, sure. I probably didn't either. It's easier to talk than to write.
Well,
I can send it to you in the AI at the end of the meeting
Oh,
too. Yes.
that's even better. You should ask the AIA chat assistant that's
Yep.
spying on us. Yeah.
Yep.
okay, but I'll still ask Anna, how about if Frank sends it to you and you can,
Sure. No, it's fine. I'll do something while we're meeting here.
Okay. Good, good, good.
Under Stephen, under your cutting and drilling paragraph at the bottom of this page.
yeah,
So is the assumption then that the contractor is going to do the cutting and drilling, but then they're going to leave a hole and then we're going to hire somebody else or one of us is going to go fill in the holes?
that would be my thought. I mean, you know, that's why, we'll have a discussion about this with the electrician. And as long as, they're not drilling a 8-inch hole for a half-inch, pipe.
Take out that sawzall and make a big hole because it was easier. Yep.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we're all in agreement that we don't want the electricians patching holes,
No.
because I can imagine what that would look like.
Mhm.
And we may have to come back and deal with that later.
Yeah,
I think that's a good approach.
Okay.
And I've got other comments, but I think let's wait till tomorrow. Although I do have one just out of my pure ignorance. What's a hospital grade ground fault interrupting a septic receptacle?
well, I honestly don't know, and Anna might have a better answer, but my assumption is it's a more sophisticated ground fault device, less likely to fail or not function properly. I assume it's more expensive than your standard ground fault device, and that's something you can ask the electrician about too.
Okay.
Anna, do you know anything about that?
No, I would assume the same though, what you said.
Okay.
So the document that Anna had pulled this scope of work from that I then pirated from was for I think the cows, that new building that they built,
Yeah.
that's commercial space.
Yeah, mixed use. Yeah, it was a 3-story mixed use. So had commercial, residential above, elevator, egress stairs. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't say I probably read that spec way back when we bid it, but I have not looked at it since. So.
right. My point is that if that's something that's being spec'd for commercial, that sounds like a reasonable thing for us to spec for the buildings in town.
Yeah, and that was there was an electrical engineer. I think it was Lindgren and Sharples, but I don't know. But it was an actual independent electrical engineer.
Okay, if we're gonna roll this into town hall fire system, not suppression, because I use the wrong terms. Thank
Yeah,
you,
can you
Beth.
explain what's going on there?
Okay, what's happened is it's a 20-plus-year-old system, the red box in town hall, and it's not working with, according to everyone. This is why I'm glad you're back on your trip. It's not, or you missed the last meeting. It's not working well with the fire system is not working well with the elevator system.
The fire alarm recall system?
The fire alarm system is not working well with that one system. I think it's an analog system, an old analog system. It is over 20 years old, and they can't get it to pass inspection. So they asked us to replace it.
Okay, so this is the fire alarm system for the building, not just the elevator.
Right, it's the one, but
Okay.
the thing is, it's the fire alarm system for the building and the new addition that they put the elevator in. It has nothing to do with any of the other part of the building. There's no fire alarm systems in the other building. They just did that in the addition. So I was in the assessor's office today, and the town administrator. There's no fire. There's nothing up in the ceiling on any of those other rooms, and I don't know where they are anywhere else. Maybe we could show up 15 minutes later and walk through the room and see what needed to be added to. Because is that system, if we spend $8,000 upgrading that system, we talked about smoke and carbon detectors. That there's none in a lot of the other part of the rooms in this building. I think there's some in the basement, but if they're going to do that, they might as well upgrade and add a few more points, a few more ports or whatever it is, to bring the system throughout the building rather than just on the new addition that they built 20 years ago.
So the $8,000 proposal is to do what?
Just replace what's there, existing only. And the fine, because yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
So what happened? This all happened with Gabe.
Yeah.
When they came back to Gabe, she panicked and said, because Gabe was involved with the finance committee in budgeting and capital planning and budgeting for the new town hall meeting. And she mentioned it, and they said, well, we have to quickly put this on through the system and get it a warrant on there, and it got approved. So they approved $8,600 to upgrade that system. And I told him at the finance committee, I went to the finance committee, he goes, well, if we're going to be doing this system, it doesn't make sense if the rest of the building isn't included in it.
Yeah.
For me, it didn't make, if we're doing electrical upgrade for safety, I'm not going to do fire. We're not going to do fire, just for a third of the building. It doesn't make sense to me, especially if, record rooms and other things don't have smoke and heat detectors in them. So I said, we might have to add on to that. And they said, worry about that. We'll get this through. If the people of Shutesbury voted in, you have the 8,600. We can go ahead and spend some of our money our money to finish the project.
Right.
And then do a warrant down the road to replace the money, do a special town meeting. So that's how we left it.
I have a question.
Yep.
So this 80 800, is that right?
86, 800. Yeah, I have it somewhere.
8,600 is from one vendor, correct?
Correct.
And if my memory is correct, at a previous meeting when we discussed this, you may have even mentioned that maybe it's worth getting another estimate from someone else because the vendor might have felt like they had us under the gun.
Exactly. Yep.
We might be able to, it might be the same price, could be less, could be more, but it would make sense, especially if we're going to add on, which I think
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense. Um, I don't know what's required in a commercial building, but in residential, um, bedroom spaces, because you shut the door and go to sleep, um, have to now have smoke detectors. I'm not sure about carbon monoxide, but in a lot of cases they're doing that. But your hallways, so like on the hallways on the second floor, hallways on the first floor, and then in the basement, and in town hall, the one place that would certainly make sense to me would be the boiler room,
Exactly.
as well as say, a common hallway. Uh, but the people that install those systems will probably know better what the code's going to require.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
Anna, you had given us fire service group. Is that the one you gave us?
Maybe?
No,
I don't know. I don't remember.
I have it written down somewhere. I can't find it, but
Okay.
and then that's why I reached out to you, Jeff. Who's doing the fire alarm system at the new library? Because
yeah,
I think it is
Emil
important.
Schmidt.
Yeah, it is important that we get 2 or 3 bids on this because we want to make sure we've got apples and apples and that we're not doing a rush job to line someone. And we do want to add on to it and go forward with that. So I think that's what we should do as a committee.
Yeah. I
Well, I
do
think,
work with fire service groups, so I'd definitely throw that name out into the pot.
Yep. Okay.
so Anna, is that a group that you've worked with?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned that I don't think an electrician um, can just go in and install a fire alarm system in a public building. I think there
Okay.
needs to be, some kind of a design, which I would think a fire alarm company like the one Anna identified can design the system and install it. So I'm wondering if this needs to be a separate contractor than the electrician that we're talking about to do the rest of the work. But we can
Mhm.
find out tomorrow when we talk to the electrician.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, that brings up another question I have, Jeff, which we can ask the electrician. Whether the electrician is the one to do, the fire exit signage, um, if he's the one that has the knowledge about what's required, because we're concerned about proper illuminated signs in the fire department. And I think even something possibly in the highway department.
Yeah, I think the electrician can do that, but I think we need to tell them where.
Mhm.
I think they can install the exit sign and the lighting. It's just we need to at least identify numbers of places.
Okay.
Yep.
But
Okay. I'll show up a little early tomorrow. The other thing is I just if we're going to look at the old town hall, not the old town hall, if we're going to look at the old part of town hall building, I'll reach out to Chief Burgess to see if anyone's going to be available, just to open the door to see if we can see any heat detectors or smoke alarms in that room, because that room's always locked.
okay.
And I'll show up tomorrow a little early too. Good.
Well, I would suspect that if there is something in the police department, it's not a monitored component
Right.
because there's nothing anywhere else in town hall except in the addition.
Hmm. Okay, sounds like a plan. Which brings us down to the select board graciously decided to give us 10 grand or put it on a warrant to, they came up with that figure. I don't know where they came up with that figure. It's going to be on the town hall warrant to soundproof the downstairs room because that's the room they're going to be using going forward.
What room downstairs?
The loud noisy room downstairs where they do
Meeting
Yo-
room.
the
Oh,
meeting
meeting
room, the yoga room, where the yoga mats are. Stephen and I were at the meet and greet with the new town administrator, and maybe there were 40 people there that day, Stephen.
Could have been.
Yeah, and you couldn't talk to someone standing next to you. It was so loud, and I think that's what really pushed them over the edge. Prior to that they really want that room soundproof. And there's a lot of things we can do. It wasn't on our priority list. It's on their priority list, and they graciously decided that $10,000 should do it or not do it. I'm not sure. And there's a lot of things. I think Gabe had something to do this also. There's a lot of things we can do with that room. A drop ceiling with insulation on it that would hide a lot of the stuff. More panels around there, and a commercial rug on the floor would eliminate a lot of the sound in that room. But the select board wants it done because going forward, I asked them if they were going to do meetings in the new library, and they said no, other people use that, but they want to be consistent and do their hybrid meetings in town hall, and that's where they would like to do it. So they want us to come up with a game plan for soundproofing that room.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understand it when you say soundproofing. So what you're saying is they want it to be softer,
Yes,
much reverberation in the room.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
yes.
Okay.
In other words, not soundproof, yeah, but that's the word they use. It's just basically do what we can. Gabe said when she told me they approved in the finance committee, they were having a meeting downstairs and they were vacuuming upstairs and they couldn't hear each other just from the vacuum. So I said, well, if you put a drop ceiling in, insulation on top of that, that'll muffle anything that happens upstairs, and that'll help out. The drop ceiling and the acoustical ceilings will absorb sound from in the room. Acoustical panels on the wall and rug will really muffle and really not soundproof. What's the word you use, Jeff?
Yeah, okay. Well, just want to make sure I understood. Okay,
I use
okay.
attenuation.
And
There
can
you
you
go.
wait?
Yeah, sound attenuation.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, two thoughts. One, I wonder if the noise from the vacuuming was coming through the floor or if it was traveling down the stairway, and into the room. That's more of a question. But my one concern about a drop ceiling is proportionately, if you make that a much lower ceiling, that room already, given its size, has a quote low ceiling, and maybe
Mhm.
lower, I think could be a mistake. Maybe you can put something directly on the ceiling, or maybe you make sure nobody's vacuuming when there's a meeting. I think
It's
the space is a
It
great.
is an 8+ foot ceiling, and all I said when I say drop ceiling, I don't mean drop it down a foot. I mean you could do 6 inches to accommodate the same thing, and then box a drop ceiling or a sound attenuation ceiling, and box out the black wiring, the black piping around there, which would be a good thing because two of those pumps on that black heating system come on during the meetings and make a lot of noise, and that would box them in. So we can talk about that tomorrow too. Just for a second.
Yeah, how many hours do you think we're going to spend tomorrow night?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show up 15 minutes early. We'll give it 10 minutes of fame in the meeting room, and then we'll stick to the electrical.
So you want to meet at 3:30?
Sure, 3:30.
Okay.
Like coming at 4.
Huh?
Okay, the electrical coming out at 4, but we'll do
Yeah.
some preliminary stuff.
There you go.
when I was talking to Leslie Bracebridge, Stephen, this is what this electrical panel is. That's in the closet of the assessor's office behind the door. I don't know
Right.
if you, okay, you knew about it. Good. Okay.
Yeah, we knew. Yeah, we saw that.
You saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
She wanted me to point that out. And she goes, there's a whole bunch of things hidden there. She also told me that in the upstairs meeting room, there used to be sticky notes all over the wall explaining to what circuit breakers went to what area. And I said, I wish we had this today. So we know when something went off, that's the problem. You could track it down, but they've since cleaned that room out.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's what I had on the agenda today. Does anyone have any unanticipated business or thoughts?
The meeting in May, the 3rd, Wednesday, I just realized is the Habitat Feast, Habitat for Humanity's like annual fundraiser. So
Okay.
I typically go to that. I probably will. I haven't 100% decided. It's mostly a babysitter question.
Oh,
Did you say
No.
May the 3rd?
May the 3rd Wednesday in May, so it was the 21st,
first.
21st.
You want to do the 28th this year? Would that work for everyone?
That would work for me, yeah.
Fine.
That's good.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
great.
Good.
Thanks.
We'll pencil that in.
Appreciate the flexibility. And if anybody wants to go to the feast, let me know. It's a nice fundraiser.
Okay.
How many people
Okay.
usually go to that? Anna, how many people go to that?
Oh,
I
I
get
have no
invited.
idea. I have no idea.
Okay.
I actually have no idea because people they don't stay the whole time. So they come and go. I've never actually gotten a count. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. I could find out.
Yeah,
That's
I'd like
okay.
to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the who caters it? Is it
It's all local restaurants. So a bunch of people have a table and they give out like a small serving of something. So
Mhm.
you can make a dinner out of it by going around to all the stations. And it's all local restaurants. And like there's usually one or two beverages and someone doing more desserts and more real like main foods. It's a nice one. And then there's an auction, like a silent auction.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the like top fundraisers of the year for the local chapter.
Mm-hmm.
good?
And I would say it's one of my favorites. I dislike going to the ones where I'm supposed to like schmooze with people, but this one's pretty fun.
No. Fine. Good, good, good. Okay, I don't see anything else. Does anyone else have anything to talk about tonight?
I'm good.
Good.
Did everyone give Stephen their home address so we can send us postcards?
I
I'm good.
have your emails. I can send you.
Oh, just a couple pictures on the way of the tundra, whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to end the meeting?
I make a motion to end the meeting at whatever time it is.
6:17.
I second it. Stephen?
Okay, and roll call vote.
Cook
Anna?
eye.
Dalmas?
Okay.
Blackenbush eye. Phil, you say aye.
Phil, aye.
And Frank, aye. Okay, thank you very much, you all, and I'll see some of you tomorrow.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay,
Have a good one.
bye-bye.
Night.
Bye.
Sharing.